All right, we're good to get started. Well, thank you, everyone. I'd like to call the special school board meeting for Monday, April 22nd, 2025 for the Des Moines Public Schools to order. Ms. Rios, could you take the attendance?
Yes. Ms. Alonso? Ms. Campos?
Here.
Mr. Dix?
Here.
Ms. Knox?
Here.
Ms. Martirano?
Here.
Dr. Mayberry May?
Here.
Ms. Norris? Okay, we have quorum.
Thank you. The first item of business is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Campus, second.
We have a motion by Mr. Dix and a second by Ms. Campos. Ms. Rios, please take the vote.
Ms. Campos?
Yes.
Mr. Dix?
Yes.
Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Ms. Martirano?
Yes.
Dr. Mayberry May?
Yes.
The vote is approved 5-0.
Thank you. We have two items on our agenda for this special board meetings, or excuse me, this special session. The first item is B1, Board Goals and Guardrails. Superintendent Dr. Roberts, would you please introduce the matter?
I can't hear you, Dr. Roberts.
Thank you, Dr. Mayberry Mays. Of course, our board goals and guardrails have been established with input from the community during the past year. There are 3 board goals and 5 guardrails. Of course, as is a practice, the Des Moines Public School Board continues to demonstrate that they value input from members of our community in order for us to land on a decision around how we are going to move the needle around achievement, both academically, socially, emotionally, and other ways for our students. The established board goals and guardrails have been monitored, followed during the past year. Recently, we have seen and experienced, as many other school districts, input from our state as well as our federal government around language that speaks to either diversity, equity, and inclusion, or sort of other expectations which suggest and is perceived by individuals who are making decisions at both the state and federal level that we may be in violation, we being the Des Moines Public Schools and other districts, of the Civil Rights Act. What we've also experienced is what I would consider to be threats, for lack of a better word, or promises around a reduction in federal funds should school districts not be in compliance of these perceived violation of the Act. Des Moines Public Schools certainly is a public school system that supports students, 78% of which, just about 78% of which are whom qualify for free and reduced meals. With that said, we are a school district that also benefits from federal funding in Titles 1, 2, 3, and 4. And while this is not a precise or exact amount, it's to wit somewhere around $70 million. Additionally, the federal funds that we receive also supports approximately between 140 to 150 FTEs, full-time equivalent employees. Des Moines Public Schools Board and I and our executive cabinet, we continue to remain student-focused and centered, and as a result, in preparation for ensuring that we are in compliance with these regulations, we have decided to do a deep dive into our goals and guardrails in terms of language to ensure that we are not losing the spirit of the intended goals and guardrails as established by the board in collaboration with the community. But also we want to make sure that we are demonstrating to our students and our staff that we are always willing to be compliant as necessary. And with that said, the team, we have worked on tweaking some of the language in the board goals and guardrails, and members of the community who will review our goals and guardrails and maybe even so inclined to do a side-by-side of our previous versus our current goals and guardrails in terms of updated language. may see some of the difference in language that exists, but we want to reassure our community members, students, and staff that the spirit of our goals and guardrails will remain intact as we continue to monitor, reallocate resources, and move steadily towards achieving the desired outcomes. So I'm coming to the board today is a review of the adjusted language, if you may, Dr. Mayberry Mason board for the board's consideration. Finally, what I'll share is there is a mandate, if you may, from our State Department of Education that came down from the federal government that every superintendent and district across the country have a deadline by the end of day today to sign this anti-DEI, if you may, letter. And so I wanted to offer that additional bit of information for the board, knowing that as superintendent, I am expected to either sign or not sign that letter declaring that we are fully in compliance with what has been shared from the State Department of Education.
Thank you, Dr. Robert. Are you or Josie going to share what the updated goals and guardrails are?
Yes, thank you so much. I will punt it to Josie Sturgis for her to provide sort of overview for the team.
Yes. So there were 3 major changes made to the goals and guardrails. The first is in goal 1, the removal of what was formerly interim goal 1B, which considered the percentage of 2nd and 3rd grade students meeting benchmark who were specifically Black and Latinx. We also adjusted the language in goal 2. It had previously been specifically around 8th grade students who were Black and Latinx, and is now looking at all 8th grade students. The third change that was made in relation to this was guardrail 3, where we adjusted language specifically about hiring practices, and then also adjusted the monitoring tools that we will use for that guardrail. We will now be looking at questions being asked on the exit survey and in stay interviews, which are 2 processes that you have heard about from our talent and personnel team. So we'll monitor through those mechanisms rather than previously we had been monitoring through a percent of staff who were people of color. The other thing that is on this that is additional to that is that we've also inserted the goal 3 language that the board had reviewed and seen positively a couple weeks ago. So all of that is wrapped into this as a whole.
Thank you, Josie, and thank you, Dr. Roberts. We certainly understand that this is for compliance reasons, and we are under a very tight timeline of April 21st. With that being said, may I have a motion and a second to approve this item?
Dix, so moved.
Thank you, Dix.
Campos, second.
Thank you. The motion has been moved and seconded by Dix and Campos. Is there any discussion or does anyone have any questions?
Skylar, I just have a statement, if you'll allow. I would like to just make clear that my support for these policy revisions is driven by the legal obligations placed upon our district. The guidance we received from our legal counsel and the Department of Education makes it clear that we must take action to ensure this compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act and the recent Supreme Court ruling. Failing to do so would put our district at significant risk, potentially jeopardizing the $70 million of funding and FTEs that Dr. Roberts just alluded to, and more importantly, hindering our ability to provide a stable education for all of our students. However, I also want to emphasize that this vote does not diminish my unwavering commitment to the students and families that we serve. We are elected to represent the values of this community, and I know that it is paramount that we as a board continue to hold these values in truth. I vote in favor of these changes and also pledge that we demand a robust alternative strategies and relentlessly looking for implementation of alternative strategies that equally, if not more effectively, get us to achieving our goals and honoring our guardrails. Will also insist on rigorous monitoring and a system of data collection that will track and impact our student outcomes, disaggregated data by race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and other relevant factors. We must hold ourselves accountable for ensuring that these changes do not disproportionately harm any group of our students. I will continue to champion community engagement along with my board colleagues. I will continue to have open and transparent communication with our community as an essential way to keep parents, students, and community members informed of our progress, of our goals and guardrails, and also continue to remain focused on our vision and the long-term vision of our school district so that students can reach their full potential. This is not the end of the conversation, but rather a transition, and I am committed to working collaboratively with Dr. Roberts, fellow board members, and our administration and our community to ensure that we move forward in a way that both upholds the law as well as our values. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Martirano, and your comments are certainly shared, and your thoughts are certainly shared amongst many of us. With that being said, Ms. Rios, will you please take the vote?
Yes. Ms. Campos?
Yes.
Mr. Dix?
Yes.
Ms. Knox?
Yes.
Ms. Martirano?
Yes.
Dr. Mayberry Mays?
Yes.
The vote is approved 5-0.
The next item is B2, tentative agreement between Des Moines Independent Community School District to the Des Moines Education Association. Dr. Roberts, would you please introduce the matter?
Most certainly, Dr. Mayberry Mays. The Des Moines Independent Community School District and Des Moines Education Association, or our unit that represent teachers and a number of other really critical and valued teammates, have been in negotiations with the Des Moines Public Schools team over the last several weeks. We have landed on a tentative agreement between Des Moines Public Schools and our DMA partners. I think it's important for me to note that we are really proud partners with our DMA representatives because we continue to have lots of discussions where we are strongly aligned on meeting the needs of all of our teachers and those that we represent. Each year we come to the table as we think about what is important for our teachers and staff and those we serve, particularly around meeting their financial needs. This time our negotiations were somewhat protracted, but for good reason. What I'll share is while we have landed on a tentative agreement, and I want to commend not only the leadership of the DMEA, but our teachers, education support personnel, and all others who are represented by the DMEA. The Iowa House on last Tuesday, I believe it was, passed the state K-12 funding package for school year 25-26. They sent it to the governor's desk, and Senate file, which speaks to this particular item, Senate file 167, passed by a margin of 59-36, which sets the state supplemental aid, or SSA, at a rate of 2%. Or mind you, I'll say only 2%. And I say only 2% because while we are always grateful for a partnership with our legislators, we know that given our current reality, given our inflationary environment, and the fact that public schools has historically not received the funding that they need and we deserve, we have landed with the DMEA on an increase in wages of 2.6%. And I know that anyone, Dr. Mayberry Mays, who is watching or listening to this meeting may probably have the question of, well, if you're only receiving a 2% increase in state supplemental aid, and then you're offering a 2% increase, 2.6% increase to teachers and staff, how are you paying more money out than you are receiving from the state? And that's our dilemma. And while it's not for this conversation, I'll say that the team and I and those who are representing us on the Hill of the State Capitol will continue on behalf of the Des Moines Public Schools and certainly the additional 320 plus districts in the state to advocate for increased public school funding. But at this moment, I am bringing to the board a recommendation for the board to accept and approve the tentative agreement between DMPS and the DMEA. It's an agreement that shows that the board and superintendents' continued commitment to valuing our teachers and staff in spite of a shortfall that we continue to receive year after year around public school funding.
Thank you, Dr. Robertson. Thank you for the background information as well. May I have a motion and a second to approve this item?
Martirano, so moved.
Dix,
Thank you.
second.
The motion has been moved by Martirano and seconded by Dix. Is there any discussion or any questions? Ms. Rios, could you please take the vote?
Yes. Ms. Campos,
Yes.
Mr. Dix,
Yes.
Ms. Knox,
Yes.
Ms. Martirano,
Yes.
Dr. Mayberry May.
Yes.
The vote is approved 5-0.
Thank you. And without objection, this meeting is adjourned at 10:46 a.m. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone. Have a great
Thank
day.
Thank you.